All right. Today what I'm gonna do is make a fan shroud. Turbo's mounted, I started making the intercooler piping and then realized that I need to make the fan shroud because that's gonna kind of go where it's gonna go. And then if the shroud needs to be kind of like notched a little bit for the intercooler piping after the fact or whatever. So really what I wanna do right now is I started, like I said, I mounted the turbo, I started making this side of the intercooler piping. But coming through, you know, on this side of the intercooler piping, I might get into the shroud a little bit. And then also just the space that I'm gonna have in between the turbo and the turbo guard and then the fans themselves. So I got two 11-inch Mishimoto fans and I need to make a shroud to mount them. You don't totally need a shroud, but it makes the fans so much more efficient to actually make a shroud. So in this video, I'm just gonna make a quick fan shroud. I don't know if it's gonna be that quick, but it's gonna be a good fan shroud that should work and move as much air as possible. All right, so first off, what I'm gonna do is make that shroud out of some chipboard. I use this chipboard all the time. It basically, it works like sheet metal does. You can shear it, you can break it. If you mess up, you can tape it back together. It's just nice to be able to use this stuff because it's less expensive than sheet metal and it cuts easier and just nicer to work with. So if you make a good template, then you can basically copy that template onto sheet metal and you should have like a perfect part. It's really difficult to just make a perfect part out of thin air onto metal the first time. And this stuff is less expensive than sheet metal and easier to work with. So I get this stuff from the art supply store. I buy like a case of it at a time. It's probably like the thickness of a piece of like 18 gauge or something like that. But like I said, what's nice about it is you can break it in the break, you can shear it in the shear, and it just works really good. So the price of it actually kind of went up. It's a little bit more expensive for a piece like this big now. I just spent a couple $100 on a case of this, and it used to be, I don't know, it doesn't matter how much it used to be. It's like, I don't know, $18 a sheet now, but like I said, what's nice about it is you can make a template and then, you know, kind of keep your templates. I keep all the templates I ever made, like not everyone, but pretty much all the parts that I've ever made that are something that I want to replicate again. I just keep these in one of the drawers of my boxes, and then if I ever need to make it again, or if I need to, like, you know, for whatever reason it gets damaged or whatever, I can just make it. I have the template already, so I can just make a new piece. So anyways, check it out. This is just an S13 radiator. This radiator is actually, it's for an LS swap to S13, and I'm just using it in my RX-7. So like I said, 23.5 by 15, and I'm probably gonna have it come off the backside here about 2 inches. So what I'm gonna do is, so I'm gonna make it 15, I'm gonna shear the piece 15 tall by 23.5, 24, 25, so 27.5, and that'll give me a 2-inch break on both sides. So actually maybe I'll make it a little bit more so I can have like a little shelf or a foot. I don't know, I'll figure it out, but yeah. So as you can see, it's not like perfect like sheet metal, but you know, I mean, more or less you can break it in the break to kind of get what you want. So this is more or less going to be my shroud. Figure out where I'm going to mount the fans, and then I'm going to make like a cap for the top. I don't have a box and pan brake, or I could do this all in one piece, but then there's going to be a cap that goes on here with the mounting tabs on that to mount the radiator. So all right guys, I totally screwed up. I thought when I bought these Mishimoto fans that they were 10-inch fans, and they're actually 11-inch fans, which I think the overall is actually closer to like 12 inches. So it gives like the overall, I thought I was going to be able to just do 2 offset fans, and yeah, I'm not going to be able to. So what I'm going to try to do now is maybe make the shroud so it actually hangs over the tanks a little bit. I mean, I can fit the 15-inch height but I cannot, you know, the length is gonna be a little bit screwed up. So yeah, so the 15-inch height works fine, and I'm just gonna have to do something else. So all those measurements before, they don't make any sense. But either way, I'll get this figured out. Kind of sucks. I mean, I guess the good thing is I still have these pretty awesome Mishimoto fans. But man, it's gonna make it a little bit trickier. I should just, well, I guess I didn't know. If I looked and paid more attention to the drawings on the website, but I didn't look at any of that stuff. I'm like, couple 10-inch fans, perfect. It's not gonna work. I'll make it work. Quick little thing. I had the brake in there. I bent it back and then just stuck some tape over it, and it's, you know, as you can see, it's not floppy. It's as good as new. It's like as if I had never put a brake in there. So that's why this stuff is so sweet. One thing I forgot to mention with this stuff is it also sands in the belt sander. And I didn't turn the power on. Damn it. So throughout this whole thing, I've been talking about making a template, and all of this has been a really long-winded version of this is why. Because I had to kind of figure out, you know, ended up making and took some measurements and then cut it out and started to make it. And then what ended up happening is, you know, then I put my fans on there and realized my fans, I have two 11-inch fans, which are actually 12 inches overall, which is too wide to put two fans on here. So what I ended up doing is making the shroud, so two 11 or 12, whatever they are, 11-inch, but they're whatever, just let's call them 11-inch fans. So two 11-inch fans will fit. But what this did is, for as far as the shroud goes, it's over onto the core of the radiator here, but then it comes to the outside of the tank over here. You know, this is a way to make it work with the two fans that I have. So what I'm gonna end up having to do is down on the bottom here, which you can't really see, is just notch that for, you know, for the petcock or the drain, the radiator drain. So that'll get notched out. But basically this is just a way to, you know, I didn't waste any metal, I just wasted some cardboard. And now I know where I can mount my fans, and I have plenty of clearance overall. And so now what I can do is I can take these measurements and transfer these to some aluminum and make this up. So I hope this helped. You know, I mean, unless somebody tells you, make one out of cardboard first, you might not know. So I'll give you a quick little tip. Write your little parts order down once and for all. Like, don't try to remember it in your head. Every time I try to remember measurements in my head, I go over to the shear and then I like shear it an inch short or something like that. So it's just good practice to write it down, because then when you go over there, there's no screwing around. Like you just go, all right, that's 15 inches. And then you write it down. And then, you know, the length here is 23 3/4, right? And then I want it 1.5 inches tall. So like this big piece here is 26 3/4 by 15. It's written down. When I go over to the shear, I'm not gonna forget or mess up. Another quick little tip here is to always draw a line. Anytime you're gonna put fasteners in something, you know, obviously you want them kind of evenly spaced out, but then like this little tool here is something my friend Dom 3D printed. And you can buy these, like stuff similar to this, but you know, it's more or less just, you know, you put this here on the edge, and you know, that way like all my rivets are gonna be not only evenly spaced, but there's not gonna be one here, and then there's not gonna be one here, and then here. It'll just look nice. So you can also do this with just some dividers and like scrape it or like scribe it, or you can even use like calipers, like dial indicators, and like hook one edge over and like scribe it. So what I did is I just riveted, I did some rivets across the top, and then I just welded the corners, and I had to notch this out. So just because this is where the petcock goes to drain the radiator. When I was welding the corners up, I flipped my helmet up, and when I flipped my helmet up, it somehow like I don't know, the TIG wire like went flying and it landed on my face. So if you look, I have like a little burn on my, next to my eye. So at least it didn't stab me in the eye. I made a little L bracket like this, stuck it in there, welded it in, kind of had to trim just a touch, but for the most part, this thing is sealing pretty good. It's up just a touch, but like it doesn't make a difference. I'm just gonna make little spacers right there and then bolt it up through, and then probably here I'll do like a little L bracket tab or something to utilize like the factory mounting that that this radiator came with. All right, so pretty much got my fans laid out where I want them. I made some little tabs to hold the top of the shroud. These are the factory mounting points that the radiator came with. So I just made some little tabs here, which is gonna hold these. On the bottom, these are also the factory tabs. And all I'm gonna do here is put a nutsert, or a riv nut, whatever you wanna call them. I call them nutserts. Put a nutsert in there, and then just put like a little spacer. So when you tighten it in, it's actually gonna like tighten to something. I wouldn't wanna just like tighten it up and let it float there, because it's just gonna loosen up. I have the fans where they're gonna go. They're all marked out. And then once I mark, or once I you know, have them actually physically mounted hard, I'll then cut out the circles for where the fans go. Normally what I like to do is leave a little bit of a lip on the inside of the fan. I just feel like it gives the shroud a little bit more strength, and the amount of area that you're like losing with, you know, maybe having a like a 1/4 of an inch of aluminum on the inside of the fan really doesn't make that much of a difference. I just feel like it gives, especially when you're working with like this little amount of space here, like the fans are so close together, everything is so close to the edge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the holes just a little bit to the inside of the opening. That way it'll just give that shroud a bunch more strength. So just gonna knock this out real quick, and the fans are also gonna be mounted with nutserts also. So yeah, be done in a second. Here's the layout. Like I said, now I'm gonna have this much aluminum in between the two fans, where before if I went to the outside, it would literally, there'd be like nothing there. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then I just have like the little marks for where it mounts. All right, so these are them. This thing is bolted up, super sturdy. Nothing's going anywhere. Just enough clearance. The thing should work really well. Next, I just need to build this side of the charge pipes. So I kind of have to like here, down through there, down, and then this will get like moved in. Sweet. On to the next thing. I'm also kind of feeling this burn on my face. It's like my introduction to some face tattoos. I think maybe I'm gonna get face tatted up.
No hands,
I
no
just
face, no neck.
I just said something about the face tattoo, and Mara.
And I immediately said this is not a gateway for a face tattoo.
Yeah, and I also was supposed to help Mara with the tree.
Yeah, no.
Tree's already up.